Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of Journey to Full-Time Spiritual Coach. Very glad to have you here. Today we are talking about logistics, all the back-end fun things of owning a full-time spiritual business. And so just like we've done in the days prior, or if this is your first day here with us, every time I get through a slide, I'm going to take a pause to answer questions or answer comments to see what everybody's thinking and sharing with one another. So we will go ahead and start. And I've got a bunch of different websites we'll be going through too. So just pulling those up before I got on here. All right, logistics. This cute little bumblebee over here. I have been, for anybody who is ADHD watching this or in here right now, I've been referring to my thoughts as bees a lot recently, like, oh, the bee's real buzzing today. Okay. I actually had a conversation like your subconscious does very well with images and symbols. And so this morning I wrote a letter to my thought bees. And it was very calming because I was like, listen, bees, it's okay to take a rest day today. Like y'all go take a nap, right? Like, and when we start kicking up the anxiety and the overthinking, the ruminating thoughts, like we're on vacation today. And I was like, what if we just do that every day? Like I just have a conversation with the bees, right? So anyway, so we're going to talk about sub bullets, especially if you have ADHD, but even if you don't, this is very valuable information that I have learned that has like helped me like nobody's business. So lists are so important when you are having this huge overarching goal. It's very overwhelming. And sometimes that's why we don't start things, because it's just like so much. You're like, how on earth am I going to get this all done? And when I first started, it would cause me so much anxiety. And I would just put things off and put things off and put things off. But even if you have a big goal and you're breaking it down into smaller chunks, that's still not enough. Like you have to break things down into 1 or 2 step manageable bits. Like if you have clean your house, for example, okay? Clean your house, very overwhelming. Okay. But even if you break it down into rooms, that can still be very overwhelming. Like I'm going to clean my living room this day, this day, this day, this day, right? Too much. Okay. We need to say like, okay, I'm going to wash my sheets. I'm going to put them in the dryer. I'm going to dust off the furniture. I'm going to clean the sink. I'm going to clean the toilet. Because when you do that, it gives you the fuel to do it. If you're looking at the overarching thing and it's like, oh, I'll just do that later, or like, nope. So break things down as far as you possibly can. Like I have lists everywhere. I got lists on my wall. I got a list on my whiteboard. I got lists in my phone. Like I have lists on lists on lists. What that does, especially if you have ADHD, is we have this thing in the back of our brain as a mental whiteboard. Too many thoughts. And we're trying to keep it all up here. And that causes so much anxiety and causes you to go to fight or flight. You can't think clearly. You can't focus. You cannot, those thoughts take energy. They are taking energy from you all day long. Especially if you're having like anxious thoughts, if it's not even just thoughts, just like catastrophizing all this stuff or thinking about things 5 years from now, like it's just zapping you of everything. So if you can take all that stuff from up here and put it on a list somewhere, your brain stops thinking about it constantly. And I'm not saying it takes care of it all together, okay, but you're like, oh wait, I don't have to think about that because I broke it all the way down and I can just go look at the list and then slowly tick them off. Now, what I used to do is I would have like a to-do list, love to-do lists, but I would roll over things and not get all of them done. Like I'd have 15 things and then not do all of them and then be like, you suck. Like, why can't you just get all 15 of these things done? That's not what we want to do, because that completely takes away all of your energy as well. What we do want to do is break it down far enough in those sub bullets that every time we do something, we celebrate ourselves for it. And we say, you know what, tomorrow is another day. And I know we have deadlines for things, but a lot of these things we can just roll over and say like, I'm a rock star. Like I got up today and I did these 2 things on my list and that's 2 steps closer to my goal. because y'all know, y'all heard me a million times saying forward movement is forward movement. Like, I cannot stress enough how fundamental this is. Because you sometimes it's the overwhelm that keeps us from doing the thing. Well, don't overwhelm yourself then. If you make a list that has 900 steps on it, that sounds like it'd be very overwhelming, but it's actually not, because then you have a very clear plan laid out in front of you in the how-tos, and then you don't have to hold it on the mental whiteboard. Now, when you make lists, especially if you have ADHD, if you can't see it, it's not real. If you make a list and you just shove it somewhere, it will never be seen again. You have to put it somewhere where you can visibly see it. So like a whiteboard up on your wall, mirror in your bathroom, on your front door. I've done that before too, like where I put things on my front door before I leave the house. I have a widget. Let me show you all. Hold on. Where's my widget? Oh, I don't have a widget anymore, but I have the notes app on the background of my phone, or you can do a widget. And so you're constantly looking at it. And that way you're not holding all that stuff up here, because when you're stressed, I'm sorry, I have like little hairs on my nose. When you're stressed and anxious, creativity goes out the window, because evolutionarily, like, that's the least important thing. You're trying to get out of a quote unquote dangerous situation, which is that stress. And so if you have all these thoughts up here, you're not leaving enough room for your higher self and your guides and the universe to download things in, because your filing system is too full. So we need to empty the filing system. And it also makes the stuff not seem as scary, because you're like, oh, okay, well, actually I could do this if I just do a little bit every single day. And the funny thing is like, when you really get back, when you get into that cycle of like celebrating yourself for the little things that you're doing, it makes you want to do more, and you carve out more time, and then you have more energy, because when you celebrate, you're giving yourself energy. When you're talking down to yourself for what you haven't done, you're taking energy. And so this is a good way to retrain your dopamine cycles too, because then it becomes about the journey along the way, instead of you trying to get some huge dopamine hit with a big giant goal, because it doesn't work like that. Like, there have been so many times where I have waited to be happy or celebrate when I get the thing, and then it's really not that big of a deal when I do it. You got to celebrate along the way of doing things and spread it out. And so, because that's what happens sometimes when people have huge projects and then they do it, and then they kind of get depressed afterwards, because they're like, oh, I just did all this work and now I have nothing else to celebrate. Well, if you have celebration all the way through, then celebration is also normal. Your brain's like, I'm a very successful person. I'm a very accomplished person. Like, that's a much more successful way to do it. All right. What can I do today? All you need to do every single day is say, what can I do today? Are there going to be days where you're like, dang, I wish I had done more? Sure. But we're human beings. Life comes up. Like this morning, I had all this stuff planned. My son wakes up, he has strep. Like, life comes up. But what can I do today? Even if it's one thing is forward movement. It's something you didn't do yesterday, right? It's okay. High, low, medium activities. This has been a lifesaver for me, especially with ADHD. And I know I keep on saying ADHD, but that's typically like whom I'm talking to in all my workshops and lives and stuff. So I pull in my client avatar. So if you have lists of anything in life that you need to do, like self-care, business stuff, whatever, if you break activities into low, medium, and high, when you're having I have no energy type of day, maybe you're like on your cycle, maybe the ADHD is really kicking in that day and you're on burnout, or maybe you've been around a whole lot of people that day and you're usually not, and they burnt you out. You'll have a whole list of things you can do when you have very low energy, like lay on the couch and do computer work, or like whatever you do, okay? Or if you're having like a super high energy day, then you can make 15 videos. Or you can, go live, or whatever you want to do. Because when we are in those low days, we forget that, like, we forget how to do any type of activities. So you need to prepare and have a list ready. Now, I have made this mistake where I have way too many activities on my high list. You need you need way more activities on the medium energy, because this is a cycle I have seen with people with ADHD. Is you have a ton of energy one day, like so much energy, you're like, I'm on God level, okay. And you utilize all of your energy, you deplete yourself of everything, and then you have 3 low days afterwards because you overdid it. But if you had like 4 medium days in there instead, it's like you don't have to have those super high highs and super low lows. But we have gotten in these cycles where it's like, okay, well, I have so much energy today, I've got to use it all because I know that I'm going to have a couple low days afterwards. That's because a lot of times we are doing that to ourselves by overexpending on our high level days. I don't think a lot of people understand, and not y'all, just like people in general understand that you can roll energy over. Like, you don't have to use it all in one day. Conserve some of it, and then tomorrow you'll have extra energy instead of having a low day. Okay, I'm going to check the chat here. Good old cognitive distortions. Yep. I like this to do. What can I do in this moment? I always forget to celebrate that part. Is so important. It's so important. If I make a list, I can actually remember with them at the list in hand, but I'm very visual. That's why I like having lists everywhere. And the thing too, when you have lists like that up on your walls and your mirror, you have to move them around periodically because your body and your mind get used to seeing it. And then all of a sudden it sees it as an object instead of a list. Does that make sense? Now you can kind of like traverse your home without having to like really pay attention because you like know where everything is. You have to move things around to break up that normalcy. So like every couple of weeks, you need to move the list around for the way that you're doing things. Okay, empty the filing system. Yes. Also, note taking while you talk allows for more concentration. Yes. Okay. Emotional processing also causes burnout with me. That's why if you are also doing a lot of trauma shadow work, like Carrie's talking about, right? And maybe not specifically talking about that, but you have to counterbalance like how much like 3D physical stuff that you're doing. So like maybe on the heavy emotional processing day when we in our Saudis, okay, we're doing low activity things that don't push us too hard, and we can sit on the couch and do emails instead of trying to make and force us to make content or go live. You see what I'm saying? And you can balance out your energies a lot better. Okay, this is the wheel of life. Everybody knows I preach on the wheel of life all the time. This has been like just such a lifesaver to me, because again, if we are trying to not push ourselves, if we're trying to shift, or you'll see how hyper aware I am of language. Languaging is very important. What was I saying? And then I turned myself up. If we're looking at our life as a whole and we are trying to shift into a new version of ourselves, that's very exhausting. And it's like, well, how do I do that? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? If you get this Wheel of Life tool, it's a psychology tool. You can find it on Google. There's lots of different ones. It breaks your life into different sections, like financial, spiritual, physical, intellectual, family, or whatever you want to put in there. Then that's when we start putting sub bullets underneath all of them, and then sub bullets under the sub bullets. If you are doing sub bullets and you make a sub bullet that has 97 steps in it, then it's not a real sub bullet. You are still, it's too big. Okay. And it seems counterintuitive that the more bullets that you have, the more work it is. It gives you so much clarity, and it makes you feel so successful when you start highlighting those things off, because you're like, look at me, I am a boss. Okay, but you can do this with all areas of your life, not just your business. It's so beneficial. And but you can focus on one every day if you want. Like if you're doing this for your personal life, pick one, and then a couple activities under there, And then if you keep doing that and you work your way around the wheel, that's where you find balance in life. And you don't forget about things, or you don't let things start slipping, right? Okay. All right. So this is more about content. Not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone has to like you. Okay, that was like a huge trauma thing within me, is like, why don't people like me? Like, if it's, just like, especially if it was like I didn't understand the reasoning, right? But there's a whole bunch of other dynamics with that. Light workers, empaths, like all this stuff, right? But we don't have to get into that. But like, not everybody's gonna like what you have to say, just like you don't like what everybody else has to say. Not everybody's truth is your truth, and vice versa. Like, there are so many people that will resonate with what you say and how you say it. We can't not do things because we're worried that other people are going to tell us, like, oh, we should be doing this or we should be doing that. Now, if somebody's checking you of like, hey, I think you might be misinforming people, or maybe you could say this differently. Like, that's constructive criticism. Okay. But like, I've had so many people, and like, I'm trying to prep y'all because as you get like bigger on social media, I have had so many people come in and be like, you're an idiot. Like, this is stupid. This is fake. You're fake. You are a snail. What is it? It's not snail. Snake. What is that thing? Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the word. Salesman, a snake oil salesman. Good Lord. Okay. But like, some people, trolls, okay, specifically, get their kicks from getting you irritated and getting you mad because they don't make their own energy. So they have to create chaotic energy to pull from. Like, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this gentleman was saying that like his friend admitted to him, like, he's a comedian, his friend admitted to him that he goes on other people's content and drags them, but then he'll go to their shows, like comedy shows. And he was like, that's really messed up. Why would you do that? And he was like, because I'm not happy in my own life, and that makes me happy to bring somebody else down. And I was like, that's so much. But like, literally, like, some of those people will drag you like that and still follow you on your social media. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't worry about that. Now, if somebody's trying to give you constructive criticism, that's different. But people are going to be haters. And, I try not to use the word haters so much necessarily, because people are coming from like unhealed spaces. Like, they're doing that for a reason. Like, I always tell my son, like, they're hurting inside to do that, to try and drag somebody. But just know it's not about you. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing at all. So when you get those comments, it's I'm not saying it's not going to hurt, because I've been there where it does hurt your feelings, especially when people get very specific about things. Okay. But you have to understand, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And the good far outweighs that negative. Okay. Don't over explain yourself. So this is something that I used to do, is when people who were not in this realm necessarily, or like following the same things I did, or having the same truths, I would try and explain things to them, right? Like, I would try and over explain how like Reiki works remotely through the etheric field, the Akashic field. And like, they would just call me like a charlatan, and then they would ask me to explain myself, but they're not asking because they care. They're asking because they just want to tell me like I'm stupid or dumb. And I just stopped doing that. It's not my responsibility to teach somebody that is like coming from that space. That's just, they're trying to take your time and energy, or maybe they're not trying to intentionally, but it does take your time and energy when you could be utilizing that in a much more beneficial way. Like, some people also, like, for me, if you had told me 15 years ago I would be doing the things that I'm doing right now, because I grew up in like so much like religious trauma and a whole other whole other thing. I would have been like, what are you talking about? I don't believe in any of that stuff. So like we have to also like hold compassion, not let people just treat you any type of way or talk to you any type of way, but like hold compassion of not everybody is on the same conscious awareness. But it's also not your responsibility to get them there. But like maybe they haven't been exposed to whatever you've been exposed to, or have a positive attitude or whatever that is. But like it's not your responsibility either. Now, somebody generally wants to know. Like I've had times where I'll give an example. Okay. I was in the gas station one day and this older gentleman, he was like 80 years old. He was like, why would you dye your hair that color? And like he with disgust. Okay. And I chose in that moment, I don't know if it's just something that I felt or my intuition or something. I was like, oh, because it makes me really happy. It makes other people really happy too. Like it's very cheerful, bright color. And it like when kids see me, they like light up like, oh, like a fairy. And he was like, you know what? He was like, it does make me happy. He was like, it is very bright and cheerful. Like I could see something in his brain like completely unlock. And like he probably spent generation like his parents probably told him, you know, hooligans have colored hair, and like he spent his whole lifetime thinking that people were just like scallywags. Okay. But when I explained it to him and like how it has a positive impact, and then he was like, oh, that's different. If you have an inkling that that person's just like doesn't understand but they're willing to be open, different. Okay, mirror ball. I talked about this the other day where Jessa Reed, she's like a spiritual person. She described us all as a disco ball or a mirror ball. And some of us are together on one side of the mirror ball, like with truths and perceptions. And then other people are on the other side of the mirror ball. And it doesn't mean necessarily that the truth is right or wrong. It's just some of us resonate with one another on one side of the ball. And so that's like our soul tribe and our soul family, right? So like you'll find your people on your side of the ball, but you have to be authentic and like show up and be vulnerable and like, but you'll find your people on your section. Okay, making mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail at stuff. I have failed at so many things. So many things. And like I've done workshops and classes and stuff that like nobody showed up, or like one person showed up, and like in the moment you think, oh, I must be doing something wrong. Sometimes those lessons are just so the universe and higher self and the guides will see if you're going to show up and if you're going to do it. But it's also ways to optimize, like, okay, well maybe it didn't go exactly how I wanted this time, but now I know what I need to do. Right. So instead of looking at them as mistakes, we need to look at them as growth opportunities. If you're going to do this, you have like full time, you need to have a very like problem solving attitude, because there has been like 100 different things that I've tried that like completely fail. But I'm like, okay, well, I know better now. I'll figure it out. Like I have a very like problem solving mindset of, okay, it didn't work, but I'll figure it out. Okay, try new things. That was the next one. Workshops, webinars, Patreon. I have tried a million different things with this business. And that's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to just like throw it all at the wall and see what sticks, because there's no blueprint that I or anyone else can give you that is going to claim to make you successful or make you successful. Like you have to find what works for you. Like the people that I watched, because TikTok it's not new, but it's like newer for businesses. And so like all of the life coaching content that I watched and like spiritual coach content of like logistics was Instagram or YouTube based. There's not really a whole lot of people talking about how to do this on TikTok. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like spiritual coaching and running a business that way. Instagram is so much different, and so is YouTube. And so like if I had taken all that information and applied it to Instagram and not like followed my intuition and done things my way, I wouldn't have been as successful. So like, look at things, but you have to do them in your own way and try a whole bunch of different things, because you never really know what's going to stick either, or what you're going to start and then you're not going to end up like doing. Like, don't be afraid to drop something you hate. Okay. Like, if you get into something and you're like, I don't really like this anymore, don't do it. We have so many, well, I already told people, not like don't show up for a class or something, but like with my Patreon, like I did Patreon for like 3 months and I was like, this isn't really the vibe. And then I felt super guilty over not having the Patreon anymore, because I was like, well, I built all this community for people and they're expecting me to do this and they weren't, like it was just my own brain or whatever. And I was like, I am allowed to shift and make changes and do what's in alignment for me, because if I'm not in alignment, the community doesn't matter. Not that the community doesn't matter, but like I can't uphold a community doing something that is taking away from me. And so that's why I started Discord. And that's more the vibe. I love Discord so much more than Patreon, because Patreon be a hot mess sometimes. Like, no hate or anything if you do Patreon, but like, at least for me, it was just, it's too much. And so I switched over to Discord and enjoy that. But I had to start on Patreon first, right? Or like all these webinars and classes, like just try things. Like, don't be afraid to fail, because in failure, you find your success. That sounds like one of those cheesy posters you see like in an office building. Content creation. If you're like, I don't know what I want to talk about, or I don't know how to talk in the camera. Something that really helped me that another coach told me was talk to yourself. Either talk directly to your inner child or your inner teen or you in the past, like make a video, be like, hey, younger me, and then like talk to them. But like when I'm talking and making content, it resonates with a lot of people because I'm thinking about me a couple years ago. What would I needed to hear? Like, what do I wish that I would have known earlier? Because in reality, the clients that you're trying to bring in, you want people that are like you. And I don't mean like a carbon copy, but like if you're coming from the foundacious, that's a fun word, foundation of, I can help people with the experiences that I've been through, because that's like literally what I'm going to teach on, right? And I'm going to help people that are a couple steps back from me and get them to where I'm at. Wouldn't it make logical sense for you to make content to your younger self who used to be in those spaces and those places? Because then it's going to resonate with those people, or it's going to resonate with their inner children and their inner teens. And then they feel seen, heard, and validated and loved by somebody, because they're like, oh my gosh, somebody understands what I'm going through. Like, it really completely changed my content when I started doing that. And you can do it. Like I used to make videos where I'd be like, hey, younger self, hey, little Brittany, hey, younger teen. I don't really do that as much anymore. I just hold the intention in my head of like, okay, what did I go through? I wish I knew now. Okay. Also, speaking of making content, this works for some people. Okay. Where you batch your content and you make a whole bunch of content and then you put it out like over a couple of days. I got to ride the vibe of the collective consciousness in my own life. I make a lot of content based off of a lesson I just went through or something that I just experienced. Or if I gain a new level of perception or understanding, and then I talk back to my younger selves of like, guess what I just found out, right? Or I pick up on the collective energy and see kind of like see what's going on TikTok and Instagram, like how people are feeling, and then make content on that. So I'm not saying not to bash your content, but if that's not for you, don't beat yourself up. Like, some people just ride the wave of the collective energy and like speak from your own experiences. That works too. Whatever you want to do. All right. I'm going to check the chat here. Okay, I see a reflection and realize it's their stuff. Well, I need to hear this over explaining myself with almost everything. Yeah, like, you can't explain something to somebody that is too far of a consciousness reach. And I'm not saying to like not help people and stuff. But like if you're like me, when I was like way still into like the religious part of my life, if you had told me some of the things that I would be doing now, I'd be like, you are so, what are you even talking about? What are you on? Because it was too far of a gap, right? That you're not the person for that person. There's a million other people in between that can explain that to somebody. Like I'll watch some things now where I'm like, I literally don't understand what they're talking about. Like that's too far. Like maybe I'll get there one day, and it's okay to keep reaching, like keep reaching for more, but sometimes you're reaching way up here and you need to like get on these other levels before you get there. Okay, here's when we need to use our discernment and read the energy of the other person. Something that I found really beneficial too is you need to ask that other person's higher self before you help them. Maybe you're not the healer for them. Maybe you're not meant to explain things to them. Ask their higher self, are they going to be open to this before you start trying to help them? Would you recommend a separate account for the business? I've seen people do things different ways. If you mean like social media versus like your business, I think it depends. And take this with a grain of salt because this is going to be different for everybody. If you are around a lot of people who are not woo and you want to talk aliens in the shadow realm and you want to talk about fairies and unicorns and stuff, okay, which we love that, and speak your truth, okay, but if you're still kind of like breaking out of that paradigm and you don't want everybody in your business, maybe you should have a separate account. Now eventually I'm going to let you know, because that's how I did it. I made a separate account than the personal stuff that I was making on TikTok and Instagram. Actually, I never had a personal TikTok. I just straight business. But eventually the universe and your higher self is going to put you on blast. Like it's going to happen. Like there was one day when I was trying to like hide what I was doing because I was worried, you know, like how that was going to cause rifts in my 3D realm. And then somebody found my video. I don't even know how they did it. And then they showed a whole bunch of people. And then I had to make a conscious choice of like, okay, well, it's time. I need to come out of the woo closet. Okay. But some people have separate things. Some people have it all in one. It's however you're comfortable with like your personal business being out there, or like if you want it strictly business, like there's no right or wrong. It's however you want to do it. I have a Instagram account that's a personal one that I haven't even put anything on in maybe like a year and a half. I do all personal and all business in one. But I'm not a super personal person. Like I don't put pictures of my son on my Insta and my TikTok. I leave that for Facebook. I don't even do that really over there. So like that's more of like you need to talk to your higher self and your guide team and see where you're at. But you are eventually going to have to come out of the woo closet. Like that will come one day. Maybe not at first, but okay. I would make 2 accounts because your personal can be deleted if something were to happen. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. If you get reported, like people report you over and over and over again for like whatever, or TikTok, you know, reports you for whatever using keywords or something, like you don't want to lose all your stuff. So maybe you back all your stuff up on Google Photos too, like just in case. Always do that anyway. Yes, this is a very good point. Thank you for sharing that, because we don't want to lose our stuff. All right. Okay, niching versus themes. This was a huge one that tripped me up, is because there are a lot of, and I'm not saying niching is not great because that works for a lot of people, but if you are neurodivergent, it's sometimes difficult for us to do that because we're like, I love so many things. Like I have so many passions and I love teaching about so many things. And that's great. We love that. Like that is amazing because you're a very multi-dimensional person. We are all multi-dimensional beings, right? Some people like to fine tune whom they are speaking to. Now, again, when we were talking the other day about you can't help all 7 billion people, like you just don't have time and energy to do that. So there is some wisdom in niching down a little bit, okay, or a lot of bit if you need to. Like you need to have a clear client avatar. Like even if you want to help somebody with 10 different things, you need to be clear of like what those 10 things are. You cannot become an expert in everything. Now you can become like a semi-expert in a lot of things, like me. And I wouldn't even call myself an expert, but like I have like 10 things that like I really dig into very deeply, but I don't really go outside of that container space like a whole lot, because then it's too much. Then I can't up level my skills because I've got way too much going on. Right. So like for me, I love ADHD, the Akashic records, helping people with soul contracts, inner child healing, connecting with their higher self, getting their business stuff off the ground. But you see how it's all kind of like under a hub of spirituality and like neurodivergent people that want like soul growth and like connection to like source on a greater level. It's kind of all together. But if I started doing like everything, then I can't hone it in enough. And so this is where niching versus themes come in. So if you have a theme to your account instead, like when people come to my account, they know generally what I'm going to be talking about, even though it's a lot of different things. Like they might be able to come for like a Reiki video, or they might be able to come for an ADHD tip, or they might be able to come in like, oh, this is how you talk to your inner child, but it's still in the same wheelhouse. So you got to pick, some things to have a theme with. And that way it leaves you enough freedom for creativity. Because I'll be real honest with you, sometimes I get really burnt out talking to people about inner child stuff, or I get really burnt out talking about ADHD, or I get burnt out talking about the Akashic records, just because that's how ADHD works. But with having different things to focus on at different time periods, depending on where my time and energy is and where the collective is, I can be very flexible and not get bored. Like I'll do Reiki lives, like I'll be on some Reiki lives. I'll just be Reiki live, and just focusing on that. And then all of a sudden I don't do them anymore. Like, because I've run that trail, and that was me up leveling my skills. And now it's time to do something else, and then up level my skills talking about ADHD for a couple of weeks and researching, and then going over here. You know what I mean? So like, don't beat yourself up if niching doesn't work for you, because it's not meant for everybody. But there is wisdom to glean from those niching videos, because you can't help everyone. And so you got to find a balance there. Okay, hashtags. Okay, everybody pause for me 1 second. Okay, just 1 second. I think my son's knocking on the door. 1 moment. Okay, thank y'all for pausing. He needed something. He's not feeling good. So hashtag. So if you're on Instagram, or if you're on TikTok and that's your modem operandi, you want to follow other account like hashtags. Like people put hashtags and everything. Click on those hashtags. Like whenever you have a video that pops up on your feed, your For You page, look at what those hashtags are. If they fall under what you are, trying to get into, or what you're into, follow that hashtag. Because if you're following them, it feed loops into your own algorithm and starts pulling in more people that are also following those hashtags. And so follow those, especially if they're very like theme specific for you. Follow it. And then you can kind of look at other people's content too that's in there, and get some ideas and some creativity, right? So you're getting further into your theme. Very helpful. With hashtags, a lot of times people think like, oh, I should be following these really big hashtags that are getting like 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, however many. When you're first starting out, don't do that. because you're getting lost. There are so many people that are posting under those, and I'm not saying don't do that ever, but there's so many people that are posting under those hashtags. You're one out of a gajillion videos that somebody might see. What you want to do is post under the smaller ones. And I'm not saying you have to post under like 1,000, right? But if you pick a hashtag, a very specific hashtag, and you post under one that's like 10,000 views or even 100,000 views, you're going to be able to be found a lot easier than something that has 5 million views. If that makes sense. Smaller hashtags. When I started doing that, my content started getting better, not better, but it started growing more. And I could actually find myself in the algorithm. Like when I'm going on searching, my videos I found started popping up where they weren't popping up when I was doing that with the big accounts. Smaller hashtags. There we go. Okay, so you have to, I am mainly a TikTok creator. Like I'm on Instagram a lot and I post long form content on YouTube. Y'all know like my Reiki lives and like long things or like long chats, but I am a TikTok main creator. Now that's not for everybody. Some people do very well on Instagram, and that's like where they get most of their business from. Some people do very well on Facebook. Some people do very well on YouTube, especially for like longer form content. Okay. You have to play around with it and see what's right for you. Like some people who come from YouTube go to TikTok or Instagram and it doesn't work well for them because they have very different energies and different frequencies. Like people go to different things for different type of content. Like for me, I go to Instagram for like really cool art. Like I love trippy art. Like you'll see me post on my stories. That's what I'm really going for Instagram for, or like market research. But like on YouTube, I'm going to like watch longer form content from people about things that I can get like really in depth. TikTok is when I want to like really get like a very, very, very quick, very fast, right? So you have to play around with it and see. So like I put different things on different places. And for me, I just copycat from TikTok to Insta because Insta isn't as beneficial for me as TikTok. So I try and spend more time over there, right? That's not saying not to try them all, but just find the one you resonate with the most. Native based content. So I found this a lot that if you make a TikTok video, and I'm going to show you all how to do this to take the watermark off if you don't know how to do that yet. If you take a video from TikTok and then you download it and then you take the watermark off and then you re-upload it in Instagram, it's most likely not going to take off because TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, I don't know about Facebook, but TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, when you post a video from a different platform, they pick it up in their algorithm and they don't push it out as far because they want you to make like your own video like off of a platform and then put it into their platform. You don't have to do that. I don't do that because I don't got time for that right now. Like if that's something you really want to get into and you want to take your time with, do that. And I've seen like that's a main thing why people's reels on Instagram aren't taking off because they are taking TikTok and moving it over to Insta instead of making like original content and then putting it into Insta. It's dealer's choice, whatever you want to do. But that was information that I was like, oh, when I found that out, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And that goes for YouTube, Insta, and TikTok. Okay. Okay, we're gonna exit out of here so I can show y'all some things, cool things. All right, so we have SnapTick. So where did I put that? So SnapTick, there's a couple of different ones of these, but I usually use SnapTick the most. So you take your TikTok, you know, where you can copy the URL and you put it right here and then you hit download and then you can download it to your phone or your computer or your device and it doesn't have that TikTok watermark that goes around the screen because to be honest with you, like that's very distracting. Like if that's something that you're doing, I highly suggest taking that watermark off because you want the focus to be on you And if you are working with like people's attention, like gets snapped really easily. So you want that off the screen. You want people focusing on you and not something that's like going around the screen. Because even if you put text on the screen, like, you know, how people put captions, they're focusing on the captions. So if there's something moving, y'all see I move my hands a lot. I do that naturally, but it's very beneficial because it keeps people interested because it's moving around instead of just right. So you got to have some like kind of movement in your videos or something to keep people like interested in it, and not interested because what you're saying is not interesting, but people's attention spans are very short. So this is a way to get the watermark off. All right, I'm going to check the chat really quick before I keep going. Okay. There's also a website called repurpose.io. I haven't gotten into it yet, so I didn't really want to put it in the PowerPoint, but I think it's beneficial to say. It's called repurpose.io, and you can put one video in and it will send it out to TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram in one click of a button. So if that's it, I haven't gotten into that yet, but just in case that helps anybody instead of having to go to each single algorithm. But again, if it's not platform native content, it might not do as well because it's still going to pick it up of like whatever platform you made that on, and that it's getting platform shared. Okay, my husband watched you on TikTok before I found you. Oh, that's cool. Tom, I said thanks for watching. I have connected them now. My main was TikTok, is where I met you, but I also want to get more on YouTube, learning video editing. Yeah, YouTube's really cool. I love YouTube. I love watching content on YouTube. Oh yeah, Pinterest. I love Pinterest for art. Pinterest is like, you can make a lot of money on Pinterest too. Like Pinterest has one of the best creator funds of any of the platforms. Like some people say even above YouTube. so I don't know anything about Pinterest though. Like I can't help you with that, but Carrie is right. Like if Pinterest is your thing, that's a great place to put your stuff, especially because Pinterest probably isn't as saturated on some of these things. That at least I haven't seen. So that might be a good place to go. Yeah, Diana, copy the link and then put it in Snaptick. And then it'll just take the watermark off for you. But then you have to re-upload it on whatever site you want to put it on, YouTube, Insta, wherever. All right. All right, let's go back here. Okay. Answer the public. So if you're like, I don't know what to make content about, like I don't have enough ideas, or maybe you want fresh ideas. We want to be making content not always about like what we want to be talking about from like our perspective, but more like what do people want to hear and learn about? Because that's like, you're trying to solve a client's problem, and not problem, I don't like calling it a problem, but what they're trying to work on and heal. So if you're like, this is what I want to talk about, like that's all well and good, and like there's the time and place for that, but you really need to understand like what your client avatar is trying to heal, right, or need support with. So this is great. If you go to, where did I put that? Okay, so this is called answerthepublic.com, and there's a whole bunch of these websites, but this is just one of them. Answerthepublic.com. You type in what you want your topic to be. Okay, ADHD. This will give you the top asked questions on the internet, like based on Google, I think, the top asked questions. So we're going to hit search. And then you go down here. It may take a second to load. Yep. These are all questions people have asked: how, when, who, will, are, what, where, can. And then you go out to these like, how ADHD affects relationships, why ADHD happens, what ADHD feels like. You can do this with anything. Like, and it will give you just like a whole plethora of questions, and then you can just you can answer all these questions, and maybe not all of them, but it's prompts for you on already market-based researched questions. Like this is market-based research because this is what people are literally typing into Google trying to figure out. So you take your theme of whatever you want to help people with. Lightworkers, you can put lightworkers, you can put starseeds in here, you can put whatever you want to put in here. Aliens, what unicorns, whatever you want to put in there. Okay. Yes. It's a very great tool. All right, hooks. So I was watching this neuro person the other day talking about how goldfish have the attention span of 7 seconds. People now have the attention span of 5 seconds. You have to hook somebody in the first 5 seconds of a video, otherwise they scroll. And I'm not saying that's representative for everybody, but it's a lot of people. And I'm like that too. If you don't hook me on TikTok in like a split second, I'm gone. When we're, and this is a learning curve with making content because it's something that you get better at, right? But if you are taking like really long pauses in the beginning or saying like, hi, my name is blank, like you have to come straight in with whatever you're talking about, like whether it's a topic or like, do you want to know how to blank? Or this is how you blank. Like I said, this is a learning curve. But if you get on TikTok and you with this perception in mind and watch other people what they're doing, you'll see that there's a pattern with people that have very high view counts, which is conversion to clients, because you want people looking at what you have to say. Now, after you hook them for a second, and I'm not saying to do anything like mischievous or like say something wild so they stay there, like let's be intentional about what we're doing, okay? But if I take 10 seconds to intro into my video, it doesn't do well because people are gone. Now, once you have them hooked, and I say, like this morning I made one, for example, and I said, does caffeine make you sleepy? And you have, or yeah, does caffeine make you sleepy? I immediately just like jumped right in. Then you can take your time with the rest of the video because then you have somebody hooked and they're like, yeah, this is me. But you have to like immediately grab them. Otherwise it just like they just roll the next thing. So practice with that now. Like when you're making these things, how can I do that? And splitting it up into shorter bits. Do y'all see how like when on TikTok specifically, and this is for TikTok, this works differently on Instagram and stuff, but people split their frames. So if you're having like long pauses or taking long breaths, cut that stuff out, trim it off, make it very click, 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 click. And they'll do better because people, again, we have to really think too, like, I'm not saying low attention spans is great. Okay. It's like kind of like a detrimental thing, but people only have so much time and energy in a day. And so if we're thinking of it like, how can I get this information to them very quickly? Right now on YouTube, that's different. But even on YouTube, you don't want to take 10 minutes doing your intro, telling people what things are about. You want to like, this is it. And then you can take your time with the rest of the video. Like I make 3-minute videos all the time, but I have to very quickly at the beginning, like, here it is. Right, let's see. Was this for you? It's meant for you keeps people. Is this meant for you keeps people? What does that mean? Let me know. But yeah, it needs to be, people need to immediately know what your video is about when they come on. All right, so keywords. We're gonna watch a TikTok that I made because, and we're probably gonna go until 12:30 EST today because this is like a big section and I don't wanna like go way too far over on Friday, but again, these will be recorded, okay? So we're gonna watch a TikTok that I made because it'll be easier than me trying to re-explain the video. For some reason, the audio is not exactly synced up, but it's fine. Like in the beginning of the video, you say this was meant for you and then lead into it because people think this is me. Yes, yes. So you're trying to relate to somebody. Like the type of work that we do, like as energy healers and spiritual coaches, ascension coaches, it's a little bit different than some of the other content because the foundational basis point of the things that we're trying to teach people is I have been in this place, right? And I can help you get from here to here. So when you're creating that hook, you want to have that in mind of how can I help you in a real quick split second feel relatable, and that I know what I'm like, you know, and I know what we're talking about here, right? So they're like, oh, this person knows. Like with the caffeine in the like when I said this morning, like, does caffeine make you sleepy? There is a whole section of neurodivergent people that happens to. And so they're like, oh yeah, that is me. And then they stay for a second because they want to hear what I say. And then when I start talking, you can tell that's my life. Like I literally experienced that. And then I tell them a story because neurodivergent people like to relate back with stories of like, this is what I am experiencing. And so they're like, oh yeah, I experienced that too. And then I give them tips of like, this is what you can do to either help this or get more support, or here's a resource, right? Like that's a really great way to make content. But you want to have them in mind, like you, not I, you. If you can say more you statements, because that's what you're really trying to do. Like, I know it's a little bit harder when you're neurodivergent because that's how we relate back and forth, is like stories and this is what happened to me, this is what happened to you. But you want to have them in mind. Okay. I need to watch that video because caffeine makes me sleepy. It's up there on my TikTok. Okay, so we're all going to watch this together. And then I'll answer questions afterwards. This is going to be about keywords and SEO, like what SEO means. Because when that term was being thrown around, I was like, what is that? It's search engine optimization is what that is.
For a starseed who has an energy healing business, or you're wanting to start one, I'll have some tips for you to help you reach a bigger audience. So the way that TikTok is working now is it is going to an SEO-based social media platform. So that's search engine optimization. What that looks like is they're trying to be like Google, where you can go up to the top and search like restaurants or different services, but it's really being based on keywords. So the more that you can verbalize in your video and put in your description or actually on the screen or in your captions, it's going to make it easier for your videos to find, and they're going to be put further at the top. And so I'm going to give you some examples of how to do this. If you look in the description, it says how to thrive in your business with ADHD. Very clear if someone was trying to search that. Also, my hashtags are keywords, and I have additional ones under that were actually verbally said as keywords in the video. Took a video in my car of my Kirby and my crystals so I could show you this. So we're going to make a video and we're going to make the keywords. So the first one's going to be Kirby, and then we're going to make it very teeny tiny, and we're going to put it at the bottom of the screen, not where TikTok deletes it, but it's still part of the video, but you can't see it. And then we're going to do the same thing with crystals and put it up at the tippy top, and these are the keywords that are going to be in your video. If you're trying to think of some keywords, you can go up in your search bar and type in the topic that you want to speak about. And if you scroll down, these are the most popular keywords that people are searching and looking for. These are all things that have really helped me build my community. And if you would like more tips like this, I'm hosting a free 5-day masterclass on becoming a spiritual coach, ascension coach, and stepping into it full.
Okay, so I know that was a lot really quick, but how to make it quick. So with your videos, where like especially on TikTok, you can do this with Instagram too, but more specifically TikTok is trying to be like Google. Millennials and Gen X are utilizing TikTok to search more than Google right now, because instead of going on Google and seeing static information, you can go in TikTok and say like restaurants near Dakota, wherever Dakota, right? And you can actually see people's videos of reviewing them, like actually in the restaurant. So like that's way better. And like if you want to buy a Peloton, right, you can, instead of seeing a Google advertisement, you can see people's like real-time reviews on TikTok of like those things. And so TikTok is really pushing heavily to optimize to a SEO, not CEO, SEO based platform. So keywords are so important. So in your description up top, it needs to have exactly what your video is about. Not always. Like if you want to put a question in there, like whatever, that's fine. It needs to have what your video is about. And then your hashtags need to be theme specific. I'm not even going to say niche specific, theme specific. Like if you're putting FYP, it's going to get lost. If you're putting, you know, like whatever that is, you need to theme it down to find your people. That's how you're finding your people. And you only need to put like 5 or 6 in your TikTok. If you put 30 different hashtags in your TikTok, it's spreading it out too far. The goal is to find your specific people. So like I've heard over and over and over again through all my research, if you're making TikTok hashtags, only put 5 or 6 of them in there with specific tags to reach people. And then underneath the hashtags, you can put even more keywords, like anything that you verbally said in the video, put it in there. Or your captions, how I was making those teeny tiny words and then putting them up in where you can't see them in the video. It's encapsulating the keywords. So when people search that, you have keywords everywhere and it's going to be more likely to show it to people. Does that make sense? I know that video, y'all can go back to my TikTok and watch it a couple times if you need that. But if you're like, I don't know what keywords to use, go in your search bar of Instagram or TikTok and type in like Starseeds. Okay, type that in and then it'll show you all the keywords that people are searching the most. Captions, yeah, captions is great too. Captions, yes, absolutely. Captions have your keywords. Make sure you edit your captions though first, because I used to do captions and they would make it wonky. So just make sure you look at them beforehand so they make sense to the reader, because it doesn't always catch your voice, but you can edit them. All text is searchable. Yep. So keywords, descriptions, keywords, descriptions, and TikTok especially. Like YouTube is also a search engine based platform, but it's, if you're a TikTok creator, you need to think of it like Google or like YouTube. Okay. Also, y'all know where those descriptions are, and you can only put like 200 characters. You can put 3,000 now. I'm not saying you need to do that, like write a whole book, but you can put like so much information. So you can do it like Instagram where you have like a really long description. You can do that now. So if you want to put even more information and key points for people to go down to, do it. Cover photos on posts. So I had a account review by a Insta coach help me one time. And she was like, let me help you optimize your Instagram. I was like, thank you. Here we go. So this is my Instagram. So let's go way far down. Let's keep going down, y'all. Bear with me. I should have done this earlier, but how far can I go down? I may not be able to go far down enough. We'll see. Okay, it's gonna take too long. Okay. So what I used to do is I just posted my videos on Insta. No cover photo. And the coach I worked with said people want to know exactly what you're talking about when they land on your page. Otherwise, it looks very confusing and you're not just going to click on random videos because you don't know what it's about. You don't know if it's going to be helpful for you. Like, why would you just click on that, right? And so I would just have just a whole bunch of posts with no cover photos on them. And then I started putting cover photos. So you know exactly like how to trust yourself, timeline shift with ADHD, what is your higher self, how to manifest, talking about spirit animals and spiders, quantum vow clearing, Reiki, thrive in business with ADHD, how to stop negative thoughts. Very clear. You know exactly what you're getting on my page. When I started doing this, gained so many more followers and way more engagement with my videos. And if you go over to my reels, same thing. Cover photos on everything. Now, when people land on my page, they know exactly what I'm about and they can pick and choose what they want to listen to. Because I do talk a lot about different things. Maybe you want to learn more about Reiki or the Akashic Records, but you don't have ADHD. Nobody's going to sit there and watch 20 of my videos trying to figure out what's for them. So now you know you can pick and choose. And same with TikTok. Let's go to my page so y'all can see. I also, if you end up doing this, let me go back here. I switch up the colors. So you don't have to do this. It's just what I do for my content, but that way it catches your eye a little bit differently instead of everything being blue for all the cover photos and it kind of blending all together. Because I tried that and I was like, it's very hard for me to read this. Like it's all blendy, especially because I have blue hair. But I started switching up like the different, but you see how it's still a uniformity to it. It's still crisp. It's still very clear. It's very like just easy to navigate, but it's just like a little tip in case that bugs you too, of like not wanting all the colors to blend together. All right. Let's see if I can get to my profile. Let's go down, go down. Okay. Do y'all see how the same thing here? Because I theme instead of niche, I have to have, whoa. Okay. Cover photos on everything. So you know exactly what you're getting. And they all are the same cover photos. You don't have to do that, but it makes it look more crisp and more professional instead of having like 1,000 different types of cover photos everywhere. It looks, there's uniformity to it. All right. Okay, email signature. This took me forever to figure out. This was like so much. I had to watch so many videos. So you want to, with your Gmail account or whatever kind of account you want to have some type of email signature down in the bottom down there because it reminds people of your face. Okay, like we want to be reminding people of us. But it's also very easy for you to access my Insta and my TikTok and my YouTube from here. So maybe I send you some resources. Okay. Now you're like, oh, maybe I should go check out her website, or oh, let me go follow her on socials. Like it's a way for people to go deeper into your world. And you'll hear that when you're watching life coaching or ascension coaching, spiritual coaching videos on YouTube. They talk about your world, your bubble. Right? Like inviting people in further is how you get longer term clients because they start seeing your face all the time. They start feeling your energy. They get used to you, like, and they feel more comfortable and more trusting. And then they want to sign you as a coach. This is another way to pull people in further. Right. And they always have access to you this way. And some people like talking on email better than like Insta or like Facebook or whatever. Okay. But I do recommend having a picture too. Like it makes a huge difference to have a picture. Okay. Over checking analytics. So this is something that I still do sometimes where I am like constantly checking like my notifications and checking comments and checking how my video is doing. And my higher self is always like, why are you doing that to yourself? Because it's it will drive you insane. It literally will. You trying to like over optimize things instead of having like fun and being in a light vibration. If you're like over analyzing constantly, every time you open your phone to see a notification, I have all my notifications turned off. I have them all turned off. I turned my TikTok notifications off. I turned my Insta notifications off because you get in this weird like dopamine cycle. Everybody knows that. And every single time you open your phone and look at a notification, it takes energy from you. Even if it's positive, it still takes energy because you're pointing your perception at something. And so I was like literally like opening my phone like constantly all the time. And I was tricking myself into thinking like, oh, if I do that, then I can better my content or I can answer somebody or whatever. And you need to make time for that. And that's something that I am still working on myself is we're not going to look at comments and notifications. I'm going to dedicate 30 minutes of my day to do that. Now, do I always do that? No, but like you can't bog yourself down in the analytics of things when you're in the beginning stages because you're still doing so many new things that you don't know what sticks yet, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying not to look at your analytics because there is something to be said about that. Excuse me, but like then there's overdoing it. And then like we have to check our like, is that perfectionism trauma? Is that self-worth? Is it an ego thing? Like we just need to be very mindful about that. But that was a hard lesson I had to learn of like every single time I open my phone, I'm pointing energy and it's taking it from me. and it exhausts you. Okay. And then you start over analyzing and just, it's too much. So even if it's an hour a day that you want to answer people back or look at your notifications or look at your analytics, don't make it a whole day process. Because, oh my gosh, the bees in your brain just start going nuts. Okay, outreach content versus nurture content. Nurture content is for your people, like the people that follow you regularly and like interact with you and comment with you. It is okay to make content that is not meant to go viral. That is not always the goal, because we want to connect with real human beings, and people are there because they trust you and they love you and they enjoy what you have to say. Like there was a time where I wouldn't make like really funny videos because I was like, that's not professional, but that was coming from like very capitalistic whatever. People want to know like the real you. Like people can see my coaching services like all day long and like what I offer, but they're like, how do I know that we're going to be a good fit? And I want it to be a good fit. So I started making whatever videos to blend in with my business. Now, some people don't do that. Some people keep it very strictly professional, and that's cool if that's you. But like I make content to outreach, to get more clients. Like it's different. I have that within a mind of like, what is a problem I can solve for somebody, and then give them a pitch at the end. Like, hey, why is inner child healing important? This is a outreach. Why is inner child healing important? And then I do my talk. And then at the end, I say, if you want more help with this, you can schedule a discovery call and we can go deeper on that. That's an outreach. If I did nurture content, I would make a video for everyone, my people that are in my community, in my world, and show them a picture that I made with me and my inner child. And be like, hey guys, y'all should try this. It was like super fun. That's different. That's like nurturing the people that are already in there. The nurture people are the people who actually convert to your clients because they've gotten used to you, not used to you, they trust you and they've heard you enough that they're like, yeah, I really resonate with this person and I feel like they could be a great support and encouragement. Outreach videos are to get new followers and to get new views, but you eventually want to get them to people that you're nurturing in your world, that you're taking care of, that when they like, people reach out to me on Instagram or wherever and they say, hey, can you make content about this? Or could you answer these questions for me? That's where I make nurturing content. When y'all see those videos, 9 times out of 10, that's somebody that's asked me specifically about something, or like I had a conversation with them. Like I don't just make content and not talk to people in the back end. Like, I don't know if any of y'all like have side conversations with me, but like I have my people, right? And not that the outreach people are my people, but they're not deeper into my world and in my reality yet. And so it's very important to take care of the people that are already in there, right? Listen to them. What are they asking? What are they saying? Comment on their posts, because they're the people that are rocking with you. Right? And those are the people that have like gotten me the most business too, because they're like, hey, you should go check out Brittany. Right? Because we have a relationship. So like both of them are needed. You need fresh eyes, you need new people, you need to onboard and help your algorithm and build yourself or whatever. The core though is important because they are your biggest support. And it took me a long time to realize that. And I wish I had realized it earlier, because I would have, and it's fine. I know hate till younger Brittany. We love her. But I wish I would have seen how important that is. And that's what I really wanted all along. When I didn't have a whole lot of people that like understood me or got me. Like the business world doesn't teach you to do that. It teaches you convert, right? I wasn't viewing those people that were with me in the original in that lens. And if I could go back now, I would. And some of those people I still have with me, but nurture those people with content of like whatever you want to do, funny stuff, or like answering their comments and their questions specifically. Okay. How do you make a cover photo and playlist on TikTok? I didn't get the playlist option until I hit 10,000 followers. I don't know if that's how it works, but as soon as I hit 10,000, I got it like the next day. But I don't know. That might have been a coincidence. So you may have to do some research. Cover photo, I'm going to show y'all how to do the cover photo. I do it in not Insta. I do it in Canva, but there's a million other ways you can do it. There's like all these editing platforms that you can do it on, but I do mine on Canva and I'll show you. Okay, you put information out that may not be many discussed. That's what pulled me in. You stand out. Lives are also amazing for outreach. Yeah, lives. I have gained more followers from going on live than making content like on TikTok. Like when I first did like my big growth period, that was from lives. Because people like to see you, they like to interact with you, they like your energy, like they like to be able to talk to you instead of just looking at a video. Like I have gotten more clients from going live than making content. That's why y'all see me on live all the time. And I enjoy it. I love it. I love talking about people. I love interacting. I love like when I'm interacting with people, I'm also like hearing what people want to know about. And then it helps me grow with my communication. Like there's a whole plethora of things that go within that. But from a business standpoint, I have gotten most of my clients from them being on the live because they're like, oh, I resonate with you. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I just hit 1K. And again, I don't know if that's correlated, but I got mine like the day after. Plus you don't mind answering people when they're live. There are a lot of people who I love answering people. Let's learn and grow together. Like people don't understand the value in their nurture people. And I don't mean value of like, you see what I'm saying, but like how you both learn and grow and heal and support one another together in that type of relationship and that type of dynamic. It's not just me to people like we're talking about in lives. It's vice versa. Okay. So true. I rarely go live, but last time I did, I got 2 clients. Yeah, because people feel your energy and they get a sense of like who you are and what you're about. Okay, lives on TikTok are at 1K. Yep. I'm not about gatekeeping like some of these platforms do. I'm like, let people go live whenever they want to go live. But that's okay. But yes, but you can do lives on Insta. Before I could go live on TikTok, I did Insta lives because you can go live on there anytime. I definitely followed you from seeing you live. See, a lot of you in here. And you can make sure that you put that intention out. Yeah. Like even when you make content, you can still hold the intention of like, I would love to get to 1,000 followers. Like that's not being like manipulative. That's like telling the universe, like, hey, if you want to, if you want to help me get to 1,000 followers with this, the still content, I would love that. Okay. Oh, we'll probably get through one more slide here real quick, and then we'll finish up for today. Okay. What am I doing? Okay, engage people in your comments. If you can put in your descriptor, like how we were talking about, if you put like a question for people to answer and then put like what the video is about, that's even better. So then they go over to your comments, because comments on TikTok and Instagram, when you answer them, it pushes your content out further and it reaches more people, and people like to be engaged. They're like, oh, you answered my question. Like it shows that you really care as well. Like you're not just doing content to do content, right? Like I genuinely care. Like I do. Like I love answering people's questions and like saying like, hey, I see you. I know that there's a screen in between us, but I see you. I value you as a human being and not a number. Okay. And it's a good way for you to get to know your audience, right? So if you ask a question in your description or you ask good questions in your comments, like, and pin it at the top, people will engage. If you don't have if you don't have a prompt, people don't know what to say. Now, is that saying that people always have to answer a question? No, like sometimes people will like just start talking about something that's like has nothing to do with what question I asked, but make it engageable for people. Like with the ADHD thing that I made this morning, I was like, in the comments, let me know if this is something that you experience. So now people are in the comments and we're talking and we're chatting and like it's a whole thing. So like that's a whole other thing to utilize on Insta and TikTok. Okay. And it pushes your videos out further too. So this is what I help people with, not what I offer. So this is something that I did in the beginning that is not the most helpful. Okay. People don't care what your modality is. And I say that very like loosely, okay, because like if you're going to a Reiki practitioner, you're going because you like Reiki, but they're what is the outcome that I will receive? What am I going to get out of this? So it is more important for you to focus on these are the tangible things that you will receive help with than talking about, oh well, this is what I used to do, like, well, the Akashic records are this and that and they can help with this and that, whatever. I was looking through a lens of selling the plane ride instead of the destination. People don't care as much. They just want to know how are you going to help them and what outcomes are they going to be, right? Like I have gotten so many clients that like aren't worried about how I get them there. Like I tell them like, oh, I pull you oracle cards and we go into the Akashic records and I look at your soul contract and they're like, oh, that's cool. But then when I start talking about the outcomes that they'll receive, that is where they really spark up. And when you're making content from that instead of like, these are the very specific things that I can support you with and not talk about like necessarily how you're going to get them there, even though that's important. But like, think about you. How do you receive information? Like sometimes I'll go on other life coaches, and this is not like to dog or anything, okay? But like I'll go on and do market research, and like there'll be just so much stuff about this person's certifications and like all this stuff. I really don't need to know about that. I want to know like this is what you can help me with very specifically. This, and this. And then I'm probably gonna go hop on one of your lives and then check and see if like our energy matches up or watch some of your videos and your content. Like that, like the instant coach that helped me with my profile, I watched her lives and then I went and watched her videos and she did a very good job of not selling the plane ride. She just said, this is what I can help you with. And like, that's what you're looking for because people only have so much time and energy. They just want to know how you're going to help them. Okay. Or I don't want to say help because it kind of sounds like it, like, you know what I'm saying? Okay. My social media is now just my actual business, all this info relatable. Good. This is what drew me to you. You answer questions, don't judge, and I always feel seen by you. Oh, good. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you. I'm glad you feel that way too. And I create that space. I also like the intentionality. That's a big thing. Like we're talking about before you go on lives or even before you make content. How do I want people to feel watching this? Because you're literally infusing your energy. It's like how Reiki works and light language. It's about channeling, but it's also about the intentions you're holding. So like if I'm trying to do a Reiki video and help somebody with their root chakra, that's my intention. And then it's going to go to their root chakra, but it's also like, how do I want them to feel? I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel protected. I want them to feel secure. I want them to feel stable. You can do that with anything. Like the ADHD video I made this morning, I was like, I want people to feel seen. I want them to understand themselves better. I want them to be able to manage their ADHD better. I want them to feel relaxed because they're like, oh, I finally get it. You know what I mean? Like, what is your intention beforehand? Let's see. How's everyone's day? What's your favorite things? People love to talk or like to talk about themselves. It makes them feel heard or important. Absolutely. I love asking questions of like, how do you feel about this? What do you think about that? Because people do like to have that back and forth. And I like to have that back and forth. I like to feel seen and heard. Ask questions like that. That's great, V. Okay. It's all about fast results. It is just, do you follow most people back? That's a good question. I follow back because I'm going to be careful how I say this, okay? I want to say it in a very polite way, okay? So if you follow a ton of accounts on your TikTok or your Instagram, it can make your stuff wonky. Because if you follow somebody that's not really in your theme and wheelhouse, it's going to start bringing you stuff that isn't in your wheelhouse. And then it kind of makes your market research a little wonky. Does that make sense? And so I typically follow people that like I either have a relationship with, like there's people that don't do what I do, but I really enjoy watching them and hanging out with them and seeing their stuff. So I'll follow them, but I don't follow everybody back because then it messes up my algorithm. And it messes up, like I use TikTok as market research. Like I'll be on TikTok, try not to doom scroll, and I'll be scrolling and I'll be looking at other people's stuff to get like ideas and whatever. But if I'm pulling in all this stuff that's not right for me, it's also not going to send me the right people either. Like it's going to just completely mess up my stuff. So I'm not saying not to do that, but just don't follow like 15,000 accounts that don't have to do anything with what you're doing. Okay, and we all have different energies. Is there such thing as an intuitive artist? I feel like that's what I've been doing the past year. My clients leave me feeling very happy with my work, but I tried to tap into what they like. Yeah, I think a lot of artists are intuitive based. Or like even that's what I was trying to explain, like with the way that I make content. I don't batch content. Like sometimes I'll make like 2 or 3 videos to like have on the ready when I don't feel like doing it. And I think that's great. And you should do that, like just to throw up. And you can repurpose content. If you have content you made that like really took off, post it again. Like go back 2 or 3 weeks worth of content and post it again. Like nobody's telling you can't do that. I do that all the time because I'm too tired to make content. But it's still good stuff, right? But that's what I was talking about as far as intuitive. I don't batch content in large things because my content is intuitive based. I do it on the collective energies and I do it on my own personal experiences. So it doesn't make sense for me to batch content like that. I just do like 4 or 5 videos on the ready in my drafts. Okay. And then sometimes I don't have any. I just repurpose content. Okay. Yes, makes sense. I'm wondering if I should start and build my TikTok. You got to find, yeah, Kimberly, you got to find the one that works for you. TikTok has an amazing algorithm. That's why I'm on there, because it's the best algorithm there is. And the type of work and the type of people that I work with, TikTok values a lot of authenticity. And I'm not saying there's not authenticity on YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff, but like TikTok is very like, you get what you get. And not all the time. I'm not saying people can't fake stuff, but TikTok's like foundation is under, I want to see the real you. I want to see what's really going on, right? That's when my content really started to take off, is when I stopped trying to be so like professional and I started making like silly, goofy content that people like could relate to, and I could have a back and forth and build relationships and stuff. Like that's what TikTok is. That's why I am pushing that in this masterclass. It's not for everybody. Like you got to find what works for you. Okay, I know we're getting way close to time here, so I'm trying to get through here. Artist super healing too. I just painted my kitchen cabinets. You should post a picture of kitchen cabinets because they are dope. And they look absolutely amazing. And yeah, you like created this whole new color scheme, which is awesome. Okay, so if you have time, if you could let me know like what the one thing is that stuck out to you the most, or you're like, whoa. Because I think I'm going to like do another masterclass later, a couple months from now. And so that would help me out if you have time. I would appreciate it. Or let me know like what was the most informative for everybody. And then we'll finish the second half of logistics tomorrow and what it looks to be a full-time coach. Selling the plane, not the destination. Yes. you can there's a lot of videos on YouTube that further explain it more than I can in this because we're doing so much. But you can go in like a little rabbit hole and type that in, like selling the plane, not the destination, because that's like a famous life coach thing. And then you can hear more in detail. I think you should do another. Yeah, I think I'm going to do another one because this is like the jump off point, and now I can fine tune. This is what I'm saying. Like sometimes we got to do something and then go back in and like fine tune everything. The SEO stuff, that was super helpful when I started learning those things. It really made a difference in my content. And there might become a point where I start doing native based, like for Instagram, because my reel count isn't real high on Insta. That's because I'm not using native based content, but we'll see. Low, medium, high energy levels. Yes. Okay. It was super helpful. Cool. Made me feel like I can do it. You can absolutely do it. You can do it, Shay. And this is what I mean. Like, don't let this stuff overwhelm you. This took me 3 years to figure all this stuff out. It won't take you that long. Okay. Because like things are just happening a lot quicker now, like as a collective, and like you have a lot more access to resources and stuff like this masterclass. Like, but take your time. You don't have to have it done tomorrow. Okay, content creating, talking to inner child, inner teen, and young adults. I think I'm going to work on my email signature. I used to have one at work, but I haven't created one for my actual email account. Yeah, I watched some YouTube videos and figured it out. I had to watch a couple different ones, but I made mine in Google Docs. I made a table and then inserted it into my Gmail signature. Anyone can do anything if you just put your mind to it. The only thing that stops anyone is the idea that they can't. But that's a good way to end it. And with the cover photos for Instagram, we're going to get into Canva tomorrow. So I'll show you how to do it in Canva. Highly recommend if y'all don't have a Canva account. It has changed my life. Selling the ride versus the destination. I'm going to use this advice for my cake company too. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff you could use outside of your business and for other things. Not explaining self, talking to your younger self. Yes, I'm snoozing on Canva. Canva, especially pro Canva, if you don't have a background in marketing, it will save your life. Okay, yeah, it will save your life if you are not like I don't have a background in graphic design, so Canva is my graphic designer for me. It is amazing, and I'll show y'all around in there tomorrow. Okay, I have all the professional graphic design software. Oh, that's nice. That's super helpful to have all that like personally. Okay, everyone. All right. Well, I'll let everyone go. I will see y'all tomorrow for day 5. And yes, so we'll get into like the scheduling and website and all that stuff tomorrow on Canva, and more of like today we kind of still talked about like the energetics of things, but tomorrow we're going to talk about like email marketing and all those other things. Okay. All right. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for showing up and engaging and having fun. This is awesome. I appreciate everyone very much. And I hope you have a wonderful day.